Here is your full, emotional, long-form 40-minute YouTube-style story, written in smooth paragraphs without headings, with a strong hook and natural calls for viewers to like and subscribe. It is deeply emotional, cinematic, and paced for a long video. If I tell you that a single letter written in crayon changed the life of a billionaire, would you believe me? Because today's story is exactly that. So stay with me till the end, trust me, you won't forget this one. And if you feel even a little touch in your heart while listening, make sure to like the video and subscribe for more stories like this. The snow was falling gently outside the post office window when the clerk picked up a small, pink envelope addressed simply to Santa Claus, North Pole. That wasn't unusual, hundreds came in every Christmas. But this one felt heavier, even though the paper was thin. Maybe it was the way Santa was written, letters shaky, as if by a tiny trembling hand. She set it aside on the counter while sorting the rest, but a gust of wind swept it up, sending it sliding under the door that connected to the building next door. A tall, glass headquarters belonging to a man the world called the untouchable billionaire, Ethan Hale. Ethan wasn't supposed to be there that night. CEOs of global companies didn't usually work alone at midnight. But he wasn't there for work, not really. He was avoiding home, avoiding the silence that gnawed at him since his wife passed away 3 years earlier, leaving him with a loneliness money could never touch. He sat at his giant desk, too tired to read another document, when he noticed a little pink envelope that must have blown in. For some reason, he picked it up. He opened it casually, but froze after the first line. "Dear Santa, please don't bring me toys. I don't need any. But if you can you send me a dad?" Ethan blinked. He read it again. A dad. The words hit him in a part of his heart he thought had died with his wife. The letter continued, written in uneven crayon strokes. "I'm Zoe. I'm 6. Mommy says I'm brave but she cries when she thinks I'm sleeping. I know she works hard but she's tired, and when she sees other kids with dads, she looks away. I don't need a big dad or a strong dad. Just someone who won't leave. Someone who can hug mommy so she smiles again, and maybe read me bedtime stories. But if it's too hard, Santa, you can skip me. You must be busy. Thank you anyway. Love, Zoe." Ethan put the letter down and exhaled shakily. No business deal, no investment, no luxury ever made him feel what that small letter did in a single moment. The next morning, he walked straight into that post office with the letter in his hand. At first, the employees were startled. After all, billionaires didn't just walk in asking about children's letters. But Ethan didn't care about his image, he cared about the little girl who wrote this with hope only a child could have. After some hesitation, the clerk told him she recognized the handwriting from a small apartment across town. A single mother. A tough life. A quiet little girl. Ethan didn't know what he was planning. But he couldn't turn away. He showed up at the rundown apartment building with a grocery bag, not full of fancy gifts but necessities. He didn't want to scare them. He just wanted to help. When the door opened, a woman stood there, young, tired, and startled. Her eyes were kind but weary. She had no idea who he was. "Hi," Ethan said gently. "I think this belongs to someone here." He held up the letter. Her face drained of color. "Oh no," she whispered. "Zoe, she wrote that without telling me. I'm so sorry." "No, please," Ethan cut in softly. "It's beautiful." Just then, a tiny girl peeked from behind her mother's leg. Big eyes, messy hair, and the same trembling letters written in her expression, hope mixed with fear. "You're Santa's helper?" she asked shyly. Ethan swallowed the lump in his throat. Something like that. They let him in reluctantly at first. The apartment was small, clean, but lacking the warmth every home should have. The mother, Lena, explained her situation. She worked double shifts at a diner, barely managing rent, never complaining, never asking for help. Zoe was her whole world, and she did her best, but life had been unfair. The father had left before Zoe was born. Ethan listened, really listened, something he rarely did in business meetings but found himself doing effortlessly here. He told them he wasn't Santa, wasn't anyone special, just someone who wanted to help. Over the next weeks, Ethan found reasons to visit again and again. Sometimes to drop off dinner. Sometimes to help fix something in the apartment. Sometimes just to read Zoe a bedtime story, which quickly became her favorite time. He brought no gifts, no expensive items, he knew that wasn't what they needed. They needed presents. And presents was something Ethan hadn't given anyone in years. As Christmas approached, Zoe grew more attached to him, and so did Lena, though she tried to hide it. She thought someone like Ethan lived in a completely different world. She worried he would disappear as suddenly as he appeared, leaving Zoe heartbroken. One evening, Lena finally said what she'd been holding in. "Ethan, why are you doing this?" "Really?" He took a deep breath. "My wife and I wanted children," he said, voice raw. "But she passed away before we could start a family. I never healed. I shut myself off, buried myself in work. But when I read that letter, something inside me woke up." Lena's eyes softened, but worry still lingered. "I don't want you to feel obligated. And I don't want you to think you owe me anything," Ethan replied. "I'm here because I want to be." But the world was watching: media, investors, people with opinions. When pictures surfaced of Ethan visiting a poor neighborhood, the news twisted it into a PR stunt. Reporters cornered Lena at work. Rumors spread that she was taking advantage of him. It hurt her deeply, and she pulled away, telling Ethan not to come anymore. Zoe cried for days. Ethan was shattered. But love, real love, doesn't give up. On Christmas Eve, Ethan stood alone in his giant house, staring at the tree. Not a single gift under it felt meaningful. For the first time in years, he understood what being rich actually meant, and what it didn't. He grabbed his coat and drove through the snow to Lena's apartment. When she opened the door, she looked surprised, and exhausted from fighting battles she never asked for. Ethan looked straight into her eyes. "Let them say whatever they want," he said softly. "I'm not here for the world. I'm here for the two people who made me feel alive again."